Hi investigators, Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy with episode 173 of Spy Curious. We're here today to look at our live learning for Victorian Licensing Regulation Division, our requirement and commitment to that live learning for our students in the subject Work Effectively in Investigative Services. That's the unit we're looking at today for our students in relation to licensing in Victoria. In particular, we're looking at element of competency number 1 in work effectively in investigative services for our commitment to our live training, which is interpret and apply legal and procedural requirements for investigative services. In particular, identify, review legal procedural requirements governing investigative services in the jurisdiction of operation. So that means this is for Victoria. That's why we have to do the live learning. Everybody else can study it in their own time online and don't have to do this. But that one, that element of competency says in Victoria, that's what you've got to do. G'day, Andrew. How you going, mate? Great to see you. You're in New South Wales. Thanks for dropping in, buddy. Really good of you to say that. So anyway, we're looking specifically at Victoria and work effectively in investigative services and the jurisdiction. So it's been now 7 days since a licensed private investigator based in Queensland, who is a licensed private investigator in Victoria, was arrested and charged with money laundering. So that's what's happened at 7 days. What happens when you are a licensed investigator in Victoria and you're charged with an indictable offence? That's one where you're going to go to prison if you're found guilty. And at this stage, there are allegations, no one's been found guilty. You must let the Chief Commissioner of the Victorian Police know within 7 days that you have been charged. So where does it say that? How do you know you've got to do that? It's in the Victorian Private Security Act 2004. Now, it's 2023. There's been amendments, but that is the act where this is referenced. And in particular, it says in there, if at any time during the course of private security registration, the holder of registration, a natural person or close associate of the holder, or the holder is a body corporate, that means they're a company, the nominated person or officer of the body corporate is charged with an indictable offence, the holder, close associate, nominated person or other, as the case may be, must notify the Chief Commissioner in writing within 7 days of being charged with the offence with which the person has been charged and the date and place of hearing, which is going to be the 3rd of February on the Gold Coast in 2023. G'day, Jamie. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're going well. You're very busy on Facebook this week, so getting around. Good on you. So the holder of that licence, the person on the right there, who's the licensed private investigator in Victoria, has to tell the Chief Commissioner of Police that he has been charged in relation to money laundering, and that's what he's got to tell the Chief Commissioner of Police about. Now, there's his licences here. So Richard's got a crowd control licence, a private investigator licence, security guard licence, and a private security trainer licence. Now, really complicating this and making this particularly messy and difficult for the Licensing Regulation Division is Richard also owns an approved training organisation in Victoria called NSTA Proprietary Limited, which teaches security guards. Even making that more complicated is they have franchises. Now, under the security rules down in Victoria, security training rules, you're not allowed to subcontract out any training. I'm not saying it has been subcontracted out, but there'll be a training agreement between NSTCA and any franchisee in relation to that. And I'm sure over the last 7 days that anyone that's a franchisee of NSTA in relation to this would be going through that agreement very thoroughly to find out where they stand, because during the bail hearing on the Gold Coast, the defence lawyer for the accused, who has the allegations of money laundering against him, he said he's operating a training company, NSTA, which included providing training for security in the aviation industries, and he was likely to lose his firearms training licence and security licence. Likely. Now, he hasn't been found guilty. These are allegations. In Victoria, you apply for a security guard licence, private investigator licence, you've been charged with any offence, you will not get your licence. So historically, the accused has got those licences down there. What are the Victorian Police LRD going to do? Well, what they do is on that notification, it must be within 7 days of those charges being laid, right? Must be within 7 days. If it's 8 days, it's not going to fly in Victoria. They must let them know, all right? Any time during the course of holding that private security licence, they're charged an entitled offence, they must let them know. It will go to the Victorian Police Chief Commissioner, that notification, and they will then undertake a Chief Commissioner's disciplinary inquiry. Now, what does that mean? That means the Private Security Act, which governs what happens, the rules and regulations, and is the referable criteria in Victoria for something that is alleged to have happened or been done, the Chief Commissioner is going to read that part of the Act. Well, I'm sure the Chief Commissioner, she or he knows that Act off by heart, but they are going to apply the rules of that Act. And they apply it without favour or without fear. There have been absolute hero ex-police officers in Victoria that have run registered training organisations and done things that were just inexcusable as part of those registered training organisations. They had them shut down straight away. This is really messy for the Licensing Regulation Division. They've got a private investigator and owner of an RTO in one hit. They've got franchisees involved in this. And they've got to do this without bias, without fear, and they've got to do it fairly. They've got to give the accused person a chance to explain themselves. Now, they might have a twin brother. Easy, it's explained. Okay, it might be a complete mistake and easy, everything's fine. Everybody keeps their licenses, their RTO continues on training. There's no mess, there's no problem. It's easily explained. There are other issues here as well. In relation to it, with the charge of the money laundering, there's been 29 counts of it involving a large amount of money. So the magistrate said this is a very serious offence that can 25 years in prison. So the Victorian Police are going to have a really hard look at this, and they are going to apply the Act to this matter. What happens to the students that are currently studying at the RTO if it, worst case scenario, gets shut down on the charge? And you can't get a licence if you're charged with something. They won't give it to you. As soon as you tick that box that says you're charged with something in your application, you're out. So can you keep a licence and keep an approved RTO? Do you get wriggle room for that? Why? When the accused own solicitor at the bail application said it's most likely he's going to lose his firearm licence and security licence, the accused is right. I'm sorry, the solicitor's right. So whatever is in that notification that's required within 7 days is going to have to be a very good explanation for that to hold up. Now, I don't know how many people are currently studying at that RTO. The LRD and ASQA, the regulator, will probably make arrangements for them to complete their study elsewhere. So this is a real mess. If you are a licensed investigator or security guard and you come under the Private Security Act 2004, you go back to your training in your training course, wherever you studied, and you must know in relation to work effectively in investigative services, what in the first part is how to interpret and apply legal and procedural requirements for investigative services and identify and review legal and procedural requirements governing investigative services in the jurisdiction of operation. Victoria. That's the nationally recognised qualification that said that. The Victorian Police know it says that. They've got a copy of the course where it says that for the 3 organisations that teach investigative services in Victoria, and there'll be a similar one for security guards. So if you are tempted to open up 5 bank accounts in the names of people who have something to do with your organisation for job applications or whatever it was, go and take large sums of money and place it into those bank accounts under those false names without those 5 people knowing, you're in double trouble, as well as money laundering. So this is really messy. The Victorian Police, they will do the right thing by the industry. They will do the right thing by the students, and they will do the right thing by the Victorian public, who have a very high expectation of the rules being applied as they are in the Act to everybody equally. The Victorian Police most recently have tried to fix an issue down there that's causing long delays in the registration of trainers for registered training organisations in the security industry. Now, they're doing a great job at the Victorian Police trying to sort these things out, get rid of double up red tape that exists currently, and it only makes it harder when investigators or security guards or whoever get involved in money laundering, stain on the industry. So the Victorian Police, you, the student, can rely on the fact that they will investigate this. They will give the person a fair hearing. They know that within 7 days, they've got to, under the Private Security Act, notify the Chief Commissioner. The Chief Commissioner will then instruct his staff to undertake a disciplinary hearing. The staff at the Licensing Regulation Division will write to the person and say, okay, thank you for letting us know. Can you give us an explanation in writing, please? What happened? And of course, that explanation will be sent to them and they will make a decision on it. If there's no explanation, and they will give the person 28 days to respond, so their lawyer can check the letter before they send it out. That's fair. You can't get much fairer than that. And I'll tell you what, whatever they respond with is going to have to be exactly the same in February at the hearing when they go in there for their defence with that. This is a triple mess. The Victoria Police didn't invite it. All right. It's a licensed security guard, investigator and trainer that's gone and got themselves caught doing it. And now the Victorian Police have to act on it. So that's what's happening. That's what you must understand as a student is you learn about it in your course. It's there. It's the first thing you learn. Work effectively in the vest. It's your first unit of study. It's about the jurisdiction you're in Victoria, and the act that applies to you is the Private Security Act 2004, and that Chief Commissioner's powers are enormous. Your career can be over with a no from the Chief Commissioner about something you did. Now, it's not about speeding fines. It's not about owing some overdue money for 6 weeks or something like that. It's about an indictable offence. That's one that carries a term of imprisonment. In this case, the magistrate was loath to give bail on it because the seriousness of the 30 charges will result in potential 25 years imprisonment just on the money laundering, and that's got nothing to do with opening the false bank accounts where the money was deposited into. That's extra on top. 25 years is a heck of a long time if you get full whack. I don't think many people would ever get full whack on it. So they might be lucky and just get 15, 1 year longer than murder. Who knows? We'll find out on 6th of February in relation to that, and we'll monitor what the Victorian Police LRD are doing in relation to it. And they're very good at the Victorian Police LRD. They do it in an unbiased manner, they do it fairly, and they do it by the book. And if it continues to be licensed and this RTO continues to keep operating, the LRD will have a transparent reason, and that might be, well, these are allegations. Okay, we've knocked back other people in relation to charges on the application process. We'll wait to February to see. Who knows? It's Chief Commissioner's decision. It's not any one individual's other than the Chief Commissioner at the Victorian Police LRD. And they will make that decision on behalf of the reputation or risk of the industry and the risk to the students and the public in general. So that's the update. That's what you must keep in mind when you're operating as a licensed investigator in Victoria or a security guard, whatever. If you are charged with an indictable offence, you let them know. As bad as that is, you've got to be upfront and let them know. If you don't let them know, there'll be penalty points for that, and you'll lose your licence automatically without even having a chance to defend yourself. I'm Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy. We'll be back on Friday with episode 174 of Spy Curious. You've been watching episode 173. We'll see you on Friday. I look forward to it. Thanks for watching.
작전 종료. 전원 복귀할 것.